Best friends or something more? She said it was a purely platonic relationship, but can you believe it? Can there be friendship between a man and a woman? Or is it all a myth and excuses? Tom had just returned from a 2-day business trip and was sleeping in late on a Friday morning when he heard voices downstairs. At first, he thought it was just his wife, Tammy, on her phone, but then he heard the sound of a man's voice. After using the bathroom, he threw on a pair of gray sweatpants and headed downstairs. "Oh my God, that's amazing," Tammy was saying. "You're really moving back to town." Tom moved slowly around the corner and saw a tall, blonde man sitting across from her at the kitchen table. "Hey, what's going on?" "Tom, remember when I told you my childhood best friend might be moving back to town? Well, he's here. This is Sam." "Sam?" Tom repeated. All these years, he had assumed Sam was short for Samantha and thought Tammy's best friend was a woman. "Oh wow, that's great, honey," he said. A chill ran through him as he realized the well-built man wasn't wearing a wedding ring. "Tammy's told me so much about you. It feels like I've known you for a long time," Sam said, standing and extending his hand for a handshake. Tom wasn't prepared for the grip of steel that met him and winced in pain as Sam's strong fingers squeezed tighter and tighter. Oops, sorry," Sam laughed, finally letting go. Tom rubbed his hand, wondering if anything was broken. "So when are you officially moving back?" he asked. "The moving van left with my stuff yesterday, so I've got a lot of unpacking to do. Honey, I know we talked about taking the boat out today, but Sam needs some help, and I told him I'd swing by after lunch to lend a hand. You're welcome to come if you're free. We agreed to get the boat out of dry dock and start it up. Remember, Gina and Greg are coming with us on the lake tomorrow." Sam cut in. "It's fine, really. I've got the whole week to get my place set up." Tom noticed the disappointment in Tammy's eyes. "You know what? I need to get the motor running first, and the mechanic's going to check everything. Go ahead and help Sam." She smiled and came over to hug him. As she stood up, Tom realized she was wearing a very thin robe and clearly no bra. "Thank you, honey." He leaned in to kiss her, but she turned her head, giving him a kiss on the cheek instead. "Oh, by the way, Sam doesn't have any power or water at his place, so I told him he could stay in the guest room until Monday or Tuesday. That's all right, right?" Tom had heard enough. "Nice meeting you, Sam." He turned and headed back upstairs. As he stood in the shower, adjusting the water temperature, he heard the door open. "That was rude," she remarked. "Just walking away like that." He tried to contain his frustration. "Damn it, Tam. I told you 3 times about cleaning up the boat today, and how long have you known that Sam was moving here?" "A few weeks, but I forgot to mention it, and I'm just as surprised as you are that he showed up this morning. Why are you acting like this? He's just a friend. Nothing more, just a friend. You cancel our plans so you can help him move in? Go ahead, help him. I don't care. Now, leave me alone so I can shower." "Tom, you're being unreasonable. I'm not going to talk to you when you're like this. I'll text you later about dinner." She turned and left. As she finished her breakfast, she thought back to her relationship with Sam. It all began in 3rd grade on the playground when another boy tripped her, causing her to fall and scrape her elbow. She was about to get up and retaliate when she saw the boy who tripped her suddenly faceplant into the swing set. "Thanks," she said to an unfamiliar boy standing up and rubbing her elbow. "Are you new here?" "Yeah, I'm Samuel," he grinned. "Your arm's bleeding. You should go see the nurse." "I'll go with you." From that point on, they did almost everything together. At 9 years old, they loved playing video games and watching movies on TV. People teased them, saying they were in love, but they always insisted they were just friends. A month later, they joined the same soccer team and spent Saturday mornings roller skating together. Sam practically moved into Tammy's house because his parents worked odd shifts at the hospital. He even started joining her family on their vacations to the Delaware beaches, and her parents treated him like one of their own. This dynamic continued throughout high school, although the sleepovers ended when Tammy hit puberty and began developing. Things became a bit awkward, but they still hung out with other friends. They dated other people, but nothing romantic ever developed between them. It was only a month before the senior prom when Sam finally asked Tammy to go with him. "With you?" She laughed. But when she saw his expression, she realized she'd messed up. "I mean, you're like a brother to me." Once again, she noticed the hurt on his face. "What I'm trying to say is, forget I even asked," he interrupted sharply. He began to rise from the sofa, but she grabbed his arm. "Let go of me, just stop, and hear me out. I love you, Sam, but you're my best friend, and I don't want to lose that." He exhaled deeply and sat back down. "I get it, and I feel the same way, but I don't have a date, and it'll just be for fun, no romance. You mean a lot to me, and I want to remember this prom forever." Sam rented a tux and a limo, standing confidently at the door before ringing the bell. Tammy's mother, Betty, opened the door and gasped, "Oh my, look at you. You're not a boy anymore." "Well, damn," her dad said, joining his wife at the door. "Should I be worried about what happens after the prom?" Sam blushed and replied, "No, sir, my intentions are honorable. You have nothing to worry about." "Dad, let him in, please," Tammy called from inside. The door opened, and Sam froze. Her dress was stunning, hugging every curve. For the first time, he noticed her cleavage. "Wow," he thought. Tammy blushed and said, "Come on in, silly. It's just me." After Betty took a picture of them standing together, he put on her bodice, hugged her, and even kissed her lightly. They hurried to the limo. "I feel like Cinderella," she whispered as she slid next to him, holding on to his strong arm. "And you're my prince tonight," he replied. Completely caught up in the moment, they danced side by side, her head resting on his shoulder. When the lights dimmed and the music started playing around them, she leaned back, closing her eyes. Soon, they kissed, and they didn't notice how the yearbook photographer captured this moment. "Tammy, I was thinking you didn't want to," he whispered as she clung to him. "I want tonight to be special, just for us. After that, we'll be best friends again. Forever." They kissed again, and the rest of the night flew by unnoticed as they hurried to the limo and spent about an hour in a motel with a lighted vacancy available sign. They hugged and kissed before getting under the covers. They looked very awkward together, but that didn't stop them from having a good time with each other. "I think we're more friends than lovers," she giggled a few minutes later. They dressed shyly, and he called a limo to take them home. "That was a total disaster," she joked, as they shared a light kiss at her doorstep after prom. They drifted apart, and within a few months, they went off to colleges in distant places. Before leaving, he wrote her a letter, apologizing for what had happened at the hotel and hoping she didn't resent him. She kept that letter for the memories. During Christmas break, she was surprised to hear her parents' doorbell ring, only to find him standing there with a gift. "Sam, what are you doing here?" Tammy asked. "I've missed my best friend so much. It's been eating me alive. We messed up on prom night, and I want to see if we can completely forget it and start fresh." Tears welled up in her brown eyes. "Oh God, yes. I want my best friend back." She leaped into his arms, hugging him tightly until her mom came to the door. "Who is it, Sam? Is that you? Thank goodness you two have reconciled. Come in and join us for dinner." For the next 4 years, they spent their breaks and summers together but never advanced beyond being best friends. Shortly after she graduated from college, he called to tell her he had eloped with a girl he was dating and was now married. Despite this, they continued to email and text each other every month. "I still value our friendship," Sam wrote to her one day, "but my wife is incredibly jealous when I mentioned you. She flipped out and insisted I end our friendship or face the consequences. She just couldn't accept that we could be this close without having been intimate. She understood and assured him that she would always be there for him if he needed a friend again. Take care and know that you mean a lot to me." That was the last she heard from him until a few months ago, when he emailed her to say he was moving back to town. He mentioned that he was now divorced and wanted to reconnect with his roots, hoping they could rekindle their special friendship. As a result, the emails and texts began flowing again back to the present. Tammy was wearing jeans and a loose t-shirt, sitting at the table when Tom came down the stairs. She thought he would head into the kitchen, but instead, he walked down the hall towards the garage. She quickly went to meet him at the door. "Are you really just going to leave without saying anything?" He didn't look her way. "I have nothing to say." Apparently, neither did she. "I'm curious if you're going on the boat tomorrow with Greg and Gina, or if you're going to play house with your best friend." "Foo you, Tom, you're being a total jerk about this, and it really annoys me. Besides, I told you that Sam." Before she could finish, he shut the door. "Well, that's just great," Tammy sighed. She had her best friend back, but it was putting a strain on her relationship with her husband. Sam had mentioned that his wife always got upset when he talked about their special friendship, and now she was facing the same issue in her life. She called Sam, explained the situation with Tom, and asked when she could come over. "Tammy, I think we should take a break. It's clear that Tom doesn't want me at your house until Monday, plus you should go help him get the boat ready. I wouldn't have asked for your help with unpacking if I'd known you had other plans. He's being ridiculous, and I'm coming over to help you. I have your address and we'll be there soon. Bye." Later that day, after the mechanic checked the boat motor, Tom said to himself, "I'm being silly over nothing. She claims they've always been just friends, and she's never lied to me before." He decided to grab some beer on the way home and see if he could befriend the guy. As he pulled into the garage, he noticed that her car was still absent, and it was nearly 6 p.m. He checked his phone but saw no messages. First, she breaks up with me to help him unpack, and now she doesn't even text me to say when she'll be home or if we're having dinner. Damn, I really need to stop talking to myself. 30 minutes later, he was stepping out of the shower when he heard laughter coming from the first floor. He tiptoed down the stairs to listen in. "You look so serious in your senior photo," Sam laughed while flipping through her old high school yearbook. "Hey, you look like a nerd," she shot back, leaning over to punch his strong arm playfully. He continued to laugh, and suddenly she jumped onto his back, causing him to tumble sideways onto the sofa next to her. When Tom entered, he found her upper body draped over him as she playfully punched him. "So what's so funny?" Sam quickly got up and off him. We were just looking at old high school pictures." He hoped Tom wouldn't be angry about their close position. When Tom chuckled, he felt a bit more at ease. "Haha, I don't remember seeing those photos. Show them to me." Tammy, still feeling annoyed, wasn't prepared when her husband settled onto the sofa between her and Sam. "Is that really you, Tam?" She relaxed, hoping her husband wouldn't act like a jerk as he had before. She put her arm around his shoulders and snuggled up to him. "Yes, it's me. Aren't I beautiful?" she joked. For the next 30 minutes, Sam and Tammy introduced him to the other kids in their class, creating a relaxed and calm atmosphere. "How about we order pizza?" Tom suggested. "Unless you two have already eaten?" "Sorry, babe, we didn't have lunch and we're really hungry. We thought you'd eaten something at the lake, so we stopped at Maggie's and grabbed a burger." You could have called or texted me," he replied, trying to hide his feelings of being excluded. "I guess I'll just order a small pizza for myself." "All right. I'll show Sam the spare bedroom and get him some towels for a shower. I'll take one too, and then we can all chat so you two can get to know each other." She leaned in to kiss him again, just on the cheek. After Tom ordered his pizza for delivery, he heard both showers running upstairs. He settled down with a beer and took another look at the yearbook, spotting her photo. He noticed a comment from Sam stating, "They would be best friends forever." As he flipped through more pictures, he came across some photos and wondered who Tammy's date had been. He froze upon seeing a picture of her sitting at a table next to Sam. Just friends. Huh? Turning the page, he nearly dropped the book. She was in Sam's arms, dancing closely, their eyes shut and lips touching. "Damn it!" he gasped, throwing the book across the room. When it landed open, a small envelope fell out. He approached and saw it was addressed to Tammy. After opening it, he quickly read through its contents and dropped the letter on top of the yearbook. Moments later, he grabbed his car keys and left the house. Tammy was feeling good and smiling as she slipped into her cotton pajamas, robe and slippers. She knew Tom would be pleased that she was going out on the boat with their friends the next day. Hearing the doorbell, she assumed the pizza had arrived and heard it ring again. He must be in the bathroom downstairs, she thought as she hurried to open the door. It's already paid for, ma'am, a young guy said, handing her the flat box. She carried it into the kitchen and called, "Your pizza is here, Tom." When she received no response, she started searching for him. He wasn't in the bathroom, and when she checked the den, she spotted the yearbook open on the floor, along with the letter Sam had written her years ago. No, no, please no. It was the letter where Sam had mentioned going with her to the motel after prom. She collapsed onto the floor and saw Sam's bare feet beside her. "What's going on, Sam?" asked as he knelt beside her. "Tom found and read the letter you sent me. He knows we slept together at the motel after the prom." "Damn, Tam. I thought you had destroyed that letter. How are we going to fix this?" I grabbed her phone from her purse on the table in the front hallway and called Tom. It rang repeatedly until it went to voicemail. "Hi, this is Tom. Please leave a message. Beep. Tom, please come back. I need to explain. The prom and the motel were huge mistakes, and they were terrible for both of us. I swear, we're just good friends. Honey, I love only you and want you in my bed. Please come home." She waited for over an hour and called again. Meanwhile, Sam was watching TV, listening for Tom to call back. It was 11 a.m. when he went upstairs to pack his bag. Tammy sat at the kitchen table, staring at her phone. She looked up to see him dressed and holding a small bag. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked. "I've caused enough trouble. I remember how my wife reacted when she found out about you and our special friendship. I won't be the reason you get divorced like I was. Call me when you're alone." She wanted to argue, for him to stay, but knew it was better for him to leave, for now. She needed to fix the situation. "Okay, I'm really sorry this happened," she said, moving toward him for a hug, not wanting to let go. She pulled back and looked into his eyes, and they both realized that their closeness was what had made Tom so angry. "Good night," he said, and she replied in kind as he walked out. She texted Tom, "Sam left, so please come home and let's talk. I love you, honey." She sat on the sofa until around 1 a.m., when she finally fell asleep. The next thing she knew, it was light outside. After stopping in the hall bathroom, she peeked into the garage and saw Tom's car. "He's home," she whispered to herself. Tom entered the house after 2 a.m. and noticed that his wife was sleeping on the couch. He wanted to wake her up, but he was still upset, set by her lies about Sam, claiming they were just friends despite their current relationship. He found it impossible to trust them. He felt that he had only one way out. Soon, he was awakened by the bright morning sun. Turning over, he felt her clinging to him. "Good morning, Tammy," whispered playfully, nibbling his ear. "I'm so glad you came home." She started pestering him, and when things started to go too far, he gently pushed her away. "Tom, what happened? I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in intimacy with guilt right now. What happened between you two after I left last night? How can you blame me for this? I've never cheated on you, and I never will. I didn't mention what happened to Sam at the prom because it was pointless, and it happened long before I met you. We're just friends, and as soon as you get to know him better, you'll understand that. It's time for you to make a choice, Tammy. You'll have to choose between him and me." "My God, you're not serious. What if I decide not to make a decision? If you don't make a choice, then in fact, you will choose him. I'm going boating with Greg and Gina today and should be back around 8 p.m. So, until then, you have time to make a decision." "Tom, this is ridiculous. I know that you and Marianne are good friends at work. What if I offered you a choice between her and me? It's not the same thing. She and I have never had an intimate relationship, and we don't fool around on the couch like I do with you. You have time until I get back." "Tom, wait." But he had already left, and she fell on the bed in tears. "So where's my Gina?" inquired, grasping Tom's hand as they boarded the boat. "She had a friend drop by unexpectedly and decided to stay home. So it's just the three of us. Actually, Greg and I are having some issues at the moment, so I chose to join you and Tammy. Well, I could really use some company right now. I promise to be a perfect gentleman," he said with a grin at the petite, brown-haired woman who had been his college friend and whom he had introduced to Greg 2 years ago. In fact, I might need your advice on something. I trust you. She smiled, tossing her bag onto the deck. I could use a break too. Let's share our advice. They fell silent as he drove out onto the lake and anchored in a secluded cove. Suddenly, a few dark clouds rolled in, and they were caught in a downpour, laughing. They jumped into the water after splashing around and trying to dunk each other. The sun re-emerged, and they climbed back onto the boat, wrapping towels around each other. They dried off before grabbing some beer and wine, then settled into the soft cushions at the back of the boat. Who wants to go first? She asked. I will, Tom replied with a sigh, leaning back into the soft seat. For the next 20 minutes, he shared everything that had happened since he found his wife and Sam at the breakfast table. I really want to trust her, but she lied to me about prom night. That's true, she did keep it from you, said Gina. It sounds like Sam is more than just a close friend, but I can't believe she would betray you. Can a man and a woman be that close as friends if they crossed a line once? Could they do it again? I mean, his ex-wife felt there was more between them than friendship. Maybe there is, but I just don't know. I asked her to choose between us, and she seemed reluctant. Gina nodded. Well, I was friends with you before marrying Greg, and I have special feelings for you too. After our recent argument over money and my job, you were the first person I wanted to talk to. Maybe that's the key. She doesn't get why I think something's going on. So how about we try the same approach, as long as it doesn't cause issues with Greg? Suggested Gina. That could actually work for me too. He takes me for granted, and I haven't had flowers or a date night in months. Awesome. So, what do you want to do tomorrow? Since we both like tennis, how about I pick you up at your place tomorrow, and we can spend the day at the club? Tom proposed. Also, they both seem to think that touching and wrestling around is perfectly fine. That sounds great, but let's not overdo it. I've always had a thing for you. He grinned, glancing at her nicely toned, tan thighs. Me too, she replied. Tammy, still feeling emotional and anxious, glanced at the clock. It was around 6 p.m. She decided to call Gina to check where they were. When Gina didn't pick up, Tammy tried Greg instead. Hey, Tammy, what's going on? Greg was sitting at home alone, watching an NFL game. She could hear the sounds of the game in the background. Are you back from the boat trip? Didn't go. Decided to stay home. Aren't you on the boat? I didn't go either. It's complicated. Same here. Complicated. Tammy agreed. I guess Gina and Tom went out alone, she added. Seems like it. Tammy asked, slightly uneasy about Tom spending the day alone with Gina. She told me I don't pay any attention to her anymore, that I treat her like a maid and a cook. She also said she doesn't have any friends or interests outside of the house. He paused. I told her to stop being idle and take action. Apparently, that was the wrong thing to say. She replied that she would take the boat out and do things without me. So there it is. Her phone vibrated, displaying Sam's name. I have to go, she said, excusing herself. Good luck. Hi, she said sadly into the phone. Hey, have you heard anything yet? What's your plan? I totally understand if you think we should cut all ties. We messed up with that letter, and it's hard to promise we won't get tangled up again, especially with our past. Don't worry, I have other friends. It's unfortunate. I'm really sorry, Sam, but Tom means everything to me, and I can't lose him. Maybe one day he'll understand our friendship. She hung up and began to cry once more. Later that afternoon, she decided to meet the boat at the docks. Tom and Gina were heading to the docks when he noticed his wife standing on the pier. Look, she's here. Come and hug me, he said, laughing. Of course, she laughed, snuggling up to him. That should make her jealous. It makes me jealous, he said, teasing her for a moment before pulling away and admiring him. The boat was moored and secured, and Tom and Gina were standing next to each other, pretending not to notice Tammy. Hi, Tammy, shouted. Gina quickly retreated, looking confused. Hi, Tam. We really missed you today. Greg couldn't make it, so it was just me and my old friend going down from the bridge. Gina left her t-shirt on, remaining in her swimsuit. She stifled a laugh when she noticed Tom looking down at her. She laughed playfully and shook her right index finger at him, saying, "You're a naughty old man." Tom noticed that Tammy looked tense and upset. He glanced at his watch. "It's only 7 p.m., so Gina and I will finish things here and meet you at home at 8 p.m. for our meeting." Tammy was furious at what she saw and was ready to tell him that Sam would become a part of her life whether he liked it or not. But she realized that it was similar to what Tom must have felt when he saw her having fun with Sam on the couch. Besides, she kept Sam's return to the city a secret. If he insisted that she break up with Sam, she would demand the same from him and Gina. However, he did not sleep with Gina. At least, she did not know about it. Not knowing what to do next, she drove back home. It was about 8 p.m. when she heard Tom enter the house. Anger boiled up in her because of what she saw between him and Gina on the yacht. Leaning back on the sofa and pretending to read a magazine, she feigned boredom and indifference. "Hi, I'm home," he announced loudly. "So have you made your choice, him or me?" "Both of them. You are my husband, and he is my best friend." "That's my final answer," she replied sharply, without looking up from Good Housekeeping. "I told you that means you chose him. It shows me where I stand." He quickly climbed the stairs and took a shower. When he came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, he noticed her lying on the bed. "What's going on?" she said with a smile. This is all yours." He walked over to her and the bed. "I used to believe that, but now I'm not so sure. You spent the whole day at his house, and it's clear that he has feelings for you. Maybe not today, but he will make a move again. I'm not sure if you're going to say no. How about you and Gina spend the day alone on the yacht? I saw her hugging you. You two were friends long before we met, so how can I be sure that nothing happened between you? First of all, I had no idea that Sam was a guy. I knew you were emailing him, but it wasn't my business. Then I found out that he had moved when he showed up at my house. You rushed to help him get settled, and it ruined our plans for the yacht. Later, I found out that in high school, you had a relationship. You kissed and slept together. As for Gina and me, we were just friends. We've never kissed, except on New Year's Eve, and it was just a light kiss. Nothing like what's written in your yearbook. You can trust me to believe that there is nothing romantic between Sam and me. Please, Tom, don't make me lose my best friend. I'll leave him if there's a problem between us, but let's give him a chance." She turned to him and reached out to hug him. He answered quickly, and soon they were kissing, and it turned into intimacy. The next morning, she went to bed later than usual and woke up to find that he had left. She found a note on a small white board in the kitchen. "I played tennis with Gina. See you later. We'll probably have lunch at the club. Go help Sam move in, Tom." Although she was glad Sam was back, she was also worried about Tom and Gina getting closer, especially after she had problems with Greg. She decided to call Sam. "I thought we were breaking up," Sam said, surprised by her call. "Everything has changed. I'm coming to help you move in and tell you everything." Gina hesitated before entering the house. After leaving Tom, the memory of Tom's tight embrace and passionate kiss before she departed from the boat lingered in her mind. Lately, all she and Greg seemed to do was argue over trivial matters. She finally expressed her frustration about how much he took her for granted and questioned whether he would ever change. "Hello, I'm home," she called out, but there was no response. "Hello, Greg," she tried again, but still nothing. She made her way to their bathroom and noticed a note written on the mirror. "Things are tough between us right now, and I'm mostly at fault. I hate my job and need to escape for a few weeks. I won't be in touch, Greg." She murmured, "That jerk," before picking up her phone to call him. When it went straight to voicemail, she let out her frustration. "Typical cowardice from you, Greg. Instead of confronting any issues, you just tuck your tail and run away. I hope you find yourself, because I'm done." She had hoped that spending time on the boat without him would jolt him into realizing her worth again. Fortunately, she still had Tom. She pondered what would happen when he faced Tammy again. A smile crept onto her face when she received a text from him. See you at the club at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Court 4 is reserved for the next week. Things settled down for everyone. Tammy continued to assist Sam with his move while Tom and Gina met for lunches and played tennis together. There didn't seem to be any jealousy, and no one crossed the boundaries of friendship. However, on Friday, Greg's sister informed Gina that Greg had gone on a cruise, and he wasn't alone. Gina realized it was over and called Tom. Can you come over? I need someone with me. What happened? Did Greg come home? Are you all right? Tom asked. No, and no, but I can't discuss it over the phone. Tammy and I will be there in a few minutes, she replied. Tom, I just need you to come. I think Greg and I are done, and I could really use your company. Okay, I understand, he said, hoping Tammy would feel the same way. Tammy was getting into her pajamas when Tom entered the bedroom. She noticed the worried expression on his face. What's wrong? She asked. Gina just called and said something bad happened, and she wants me to go over. I'll call you later to update you. It's 9 o'clock. Can't it wait until tomorrow morning if it's that serious? If it's that serious, I can go with you, she offered. She just needs me. Honey, her best friend. He quickly replied, going into the bathroom to brush his teeth. Maybe you should shave and put on some cologne too, she suggested, watching him rinse. In my opinion, there is protection in the bedside table. Who's being unreasonable now? You can't have it both ways, she said. She needs me and I'm going. She stormed off and sat at the kitchen table while he rushed out the door. Call me. Gina suggested that Greg just needed some time alone with himself, a break from work and life in general. She thought he had gone to the family's lake house, so she was shocked to learn that he had gone on a cruise with another woman. No wonder he treated me like a simple cook and maid, she thought. He must have been looking for intimacy elsewhere. A few minutes later, Tom rang her doorbell. As soon as he entered, she rushed into his arms. I'm so glad you're here, she said, wrapping her arms around his neck. He stood straight and tense. Let's close the door, okay? She tried to provoke him in every possible way, but he tried his best not to be provoked. Are you all right? He asked. Yeah, no, I knew there were problems in my marriage, but I never thought he would run away with another woman. What should I do? She tried to wrap him in her gentle embrace again, but he managed to slip out and headed for the kitchen. Do you have a beer? He asked. Unfortunately, this is all we have left. Greg finished off a 6-pack of beer almost every night, except for 2 nights when he was bowling. Damn, he must have gone on a cruise with Elsie. She's a divorced woman from his bowling team. Several times when I came in, she was crazy about him. He said it was just a harmless flirtation, like what I'm doing with you. He ignored this remark, averting his gaze from her light blue silk robe. What are you going to do about it? He asked. I broke up with him a long time ago. I'm saving money in a separate account, and I will have enough of it in case of need. The brother of the headmaster of my school is a lawyer, and he said he would help me sort out the documents. Do you mind if we go into the office? It's more convenient there. As they strolled down the hallway, his phone vibrated. It was a message from Tammy. He chose not to respond. Is she going to be upset that you came here alone? She asked. I'm not sure. She spent quite a bit of time at that jerk Sam's house since he moved back. What's fair for one should be fair for the other, don't you think? Do you think they've gotten physical? I don't think so. I believe she wants to stay married to me while keeping him nearby. I don't trust him. His wife left him for a reason, and I need to figure out what that was. Well, I want you close too. I feel so lonely right now. Even when I was just cooking and cleaning, I had someone to talk to. Tears streamed down her face as she curled up on the sofa, unable to bear her crying. He knelt beside her and embraced her. I'm here for you. Their gazes locked, and their lips met. Tammy attempted to distract herself with other thoughts, but she was anxious that Tom might be lured by that temptress. It seemed Greg and Gina's marriage was falling apart, and she didn't want to get caught in the fallout. She eventually drifted off to sleep around midnight and was awakened later by the sound of the door opening. Tom, is that you? She exclaimed, jumping up and peering around the doorway. Who else could it be? Unless you gave Sam a key to the house. As soon as she said it, she regretted it. Sorry. She glanced at the clock and noted it was 2 a.m. So, it took you 5 hours to talk to her and calm her down? Maybe I should be asking what's really going on. It's late, and we're both under a lot of stress. I think we should put this conversation off until tomorrow morning. He sighed, struggling to make his way to their bedroom. When he exited the bathroom, he found her in bed watching him. I love you, Tom. Me too. Despite their exhaustion, they both had difficulty falling asleep. The next morning, Tom was completely awake as he walked down the stairs. He heard her talking to someone on the phone and stopped to listen. I can't. I've already told you that we need to take a break. I have no idea when we'll see each other again, or if we'll see each other at all. No, and please stop sending me texts and emails. She was upset because Sam had crossed the line during their last meeting, realizing that her marriage was in jeopardy, especially after Tom had spent most of the previous night with Gina. She loved him and was not ready to break up so easily. When she heard the shower running upstairs, she quickly set about making breakfast for him in order to regain his favor. Good morning, darling, she said with a smile, walking around the table and throwing herself into his arms. I apologize for my remark about Gina yesterday. I believe that you will never betray me, and I certainly will not betray you with any man, Tammy. I will. Last night Gina felt really bad and she was in pain, so He noticed how her smile disappeared and her warm eyes turned icy. Wait, we are to hell with you, Tom. Sam and I didn't have anything serious, and you're still accusing me of all sorts of things. Damn you for being with someone else. To hell with you, Tammy. Please let me finish. But she turned around, grabbed her purse, and ran out. He tried to stop her, but by the time he got to the porch, her car was already outside. Running back into the house, he grabbed his phone and sent her a voice message. We didn't have intimacy. Please let me explain, and don't do what I think you're planning. If you go through with this, it's over between us. So, please come back. Fuming, she raced down the road to Sam's house, dressed only in silky black pajamas. This did not bother her, as she intended to get rid of her clothes soon and go to her best friend's bed. A train was crossing the road, which delayed her for a while but gave her the opportunity to calm down and collect her thoughts. She took a deep breath and recognized the name of the street next to the tracks. Gina was still reflecting on the events of the previous night with Tom, who had come over to comfort her after her husband had hurt her. He had always been her knight in shining armor, rescuing her countless times since they met in their freshman English class. After discussing how grateful she was to know this before starting a family, she felt at ease and shifted closer to him on the sofa. Neither of them had anticipated what would happen next. Her thoughts were interrupted by the doorbell. Expecting Tom, she opened the door, only to be met by Tammy's furious expression. Gina was about to greet her when Tammy's open palm struck her face. You just had to go after my man, didn't you? Gina, being stockier and heavier, lowered her head and charged at Tammy. They tumbled out the door onto the damp lawn, which was being watered. Gina landed on top of Tammy, swiftly pinning her arms beside her head. Stop it. What do you think happened last night? Tammy growled and attempted to push Gina off, but Gina's weight kept her in place. Okay, I give up. Just let me up, so we can talk. Tammy, realizing she had no other option, conceded. Both women were drenched and crawled to their hands and knees, resembling drowned rats with their hair all tangled and matted. Are you two okay? A woman's voice called out. Tammy glanced around and spotted her elderly neighbor, Elsie, standing by her driveway next door. Tom was worried that his wife might ruin their marriage with Sam, in retaliation for what she thought he had done to Gina. He dressed quickly and rushed to Sam's house. When he didn't see Tammy's car, he was surprised, but he knocked on the door anyway. Open up, I know she's there. What the hell is this, Tom? Sam asked, just before the raging man pushed him hard, causing him to stumble backwards. Hey, Sam! He shouted, getting to his feet and ready to defend himself. She's not here. Where is she? Have you met her anywhere? Tom asked, trying to keep his cool. I have no idea. She's your wife, well, we need to talk. Don't me about how you just want to be Tammy's best friend. I can see it in your eyes. You love her, and you want her in your bed. Sam walked past him and shut the door. We need to talk. He guided Tom into the living room and sat down on the couch across from him. You're right. I've always been in love with Tammy, but she's never felt the same way about me. Believe me, I've tried to make her love me like that, but she would always laugh it off and shut down any romance between us. I thought marrying a wonderful woman would help me move on, but I couldn't stop thinking about getting one more chance with your wife. So, I ended things with my wife and moved here for one last try. I knew I didn't stand a chance when I met you, but then Gina came into the picture. Last week, while you and Gina were playing tennis, I got Tammy to listen to some old music from high school. We ended up dancing and kissing. I told her that you and Gina were probably doing the same, and suddenly she was all over me. If you tell me you slept with her, I won't vouch for myself, Tom growled angrily. Sam raised his hand. No, it didn't come to that, but we were both heading to your bedroom. If it wasn't for your wedding photo on the dresser, I might have had a chance. She ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and told me to leave, saying that we could never be together again. After that, I stopped all contact with her and began to move on with my life. If you want to hit me, go ahead. I deserve it. He stood up, prepared for the worst, but did not expect a blow. Where is she? Tom asked, although no one answered. Then the realization came. Damn! She went after Gina. Gina and Tammy were soaked through with lawn sprinklers, and water was dripping onto the hallway floor. They looked at each other's disheveled hair and wet pajamas stuck to their bodies, suddenly realizing how ridiculous they must have looked. Gina's neighbor Tom told her everything. He had seen them together the previous night when he came over. Tammy? Gina said, blaming her main rival. She decided to lie to get Gina to confess. I wish I could, Gina replied with a sigh. But this guy is too in love with you. In fact, I was about to let him go when he stopped, looked into my eyes and said, this can't be happening. My wife may be cheating on me, but I'm not going to do the same thing while we're married. I took the last step of offering myself to him, but Tammy interrupted me. Using a trick her brother had taught her years ago, she swung her fist from the hip up, striking Gina. Everything went dark for Gina. Tom drove past Gina's house but didn't spot Tammy's car. He had no clue where she might have gone but decided to head to the nearest medical clinic to get his injured fingers checked. He was certain at least one was broken from punching Sam. The clinic was packed, so the receptionist took his insurance card. Just as he was about to sit down, he heard his wife's voice. I already told you I don't have my Blue Cross card because I left my purse at home. Let me call my husband. He can give you the information. Tammy borrowed the woman's phone and called Tom. Hearing his familiar ringtone nearby, she realized he was close. She quickly turned and saw him standing right behind her, phone in hand. What are you doing here? She asked, surprised. Same as you? He replied, grinning as he held up his twisted, painful fingers. She raised her hand to show her own injured fingers in response. Tom glanced at the receptionist. She's got our insurance info. Let's sit. Tammy followed him to a quiet corner of the waiting room. He couldn't help but smile, and she returned the smile as they leaned in for a kiss. She then whispered in his ear, looks like neither of us have any best friends anymore. We've got some work to do on our marriage, but how about we become each other's best friend forever? Tom whispered back, I love you. I love you too, she replied. Sam returned to his previous town, hoping to reconcile with his ex-wife, but she shut the door in his face. Apparently, she had discovered a shrine he had built to Tammy in their attic. After several failed attempts to reach out to Tammy, he finally gave up and ended up marrying a waitress at a nearby truck stop. Her name was also Tammy. Greg contracted an infection during a cruise and unknowingly spread it to several women when he got back to town. Eventually, he remarried a woman who turned out to be an excellent housekeeper and cook. As for Gina, she tried her hand at becoming a professional female boxer. For 2 matches, in both fights, she was knocked out by unseen uppercuts. Tammy and Tom settled down, had 5 children, and none of them were named Samantha, Samuel, or Gina.